So, I have a theory on Lucifero. I've been not doing as many Black Clover theories, as I would have preferred lately, and I'm trying to get back on that, as well as series on other things. But I've been sitting on this Lucifero theory, and I might have something at least that sounds like a possibility. So let's look a little bit at what we do know about him, because the weird thing is he's the biggest of the devils. Obviously, we know his threat level, but he is mysterious in of itself just because of that. And even though Tabata has given us information on him, and we've even had dialogue from him, he still kept like the silhouette on him and kept him a little bit more of shrouded while hyping him. And I think that's been really well done so far. So let's look a little bit about just what we know right now in the series. So one thing about Lucifero that is very true, just looking at him, is he has 4 horns. Why is that important exactly? So let's look at the other characters that we have been seen having 4 horns. We have Asta, we have Vonica, Dante, and Xenon. And the interesting thing about them, obviously, this Asta picture only has the 3 horns, but he's not at the fully progressed, devil power. We know that he's only probably upper, maybe in like the 70s or something. But at the same time, we know that if he went further, and he'd have the other horn from Libe. But looking at all these guys, the difference between them is they're a person, like a human, taking on a devil's power through their body. We don't know exactly what it is about the 4 horns that's different, what about them is significant, but we know that has something to do with, this application of power. It has to, because on top of these guys, just clicking out of these, we've seen natural devils. Like, it's not just from when we first saw Asta and first got his horns. Like, we've seen natural devils between, all the new ones we've gotten, the ones we haven't fully seen, but we've seen the silhouettes of. But all of them have had 2 horns. All of them have 2 horns. Even even the lower devils that we've seen, like the much more kind of drop down on the totem pole for them, like the fodder ones just rushing out, they all have 2 horns. They all have 2 horns. Every single one of them has had 2 horns since they've been introduced. The only ones different are the ones that have devil like power going through their body. And another thing that I think is very interesting about Lucifero, and this is just something I'm going to talk about before going into my theory on his character on top of what he is. So what have we also seen? Because this will be a little bit of a spoiler if you haven't looked at the unofficials for Chapter 281, but just know that even if you decide to listen to this spoiler, whether or not you already know or you haven't known and you want to listen to it anyway, it's not a spoiler that will ruin the chapter for you. It's something that will kind of just make you go, oh, it will just explain some stuff. Nothing that would be too crazy, but just so you know, like, pause it if you don't want it. You want to go in fully blind. It won't really do anything like bad for the chapter for you, but just so you know. So anyway, I am going to progress forward. So we did find out about the ancient, the artificial devils. They also have a special trait about their wings. I don't know. I brought this Lucifero thing, but it's already on there. I can keep it on there because it'll help me kind of just pinpoint. I meant to do that one last, but I can just keep it on there and use it to back what I'm saying. So the big artificial devils, they have wings that absorb mana from the air, and that seems to be what progresses and makes them stronger, because it would make a lot of sense showing that, like, the way that it's formatted. Like, if you look at the if you look at the way that they kind of are cracking out, like, those weird little fractures, like, breaking out of the circles, because we've seen the circles like this one. When we see the one that Maraleona's up against, it didn't have wings initially, got wings, and that started out having I think 3 of those circles at the base of the wing. And then as it's progressing to 5, it's getting bigger and stronger. and that would explain also why it seems smaller. And it looks kind of like the roots coming out of the tree of Kilthoth and the whole ritual that go out and absorb mana from the from the air to like just to do it in general, and why Morris like making that bigger helped it like speed up the process. So keep that in mind, just the way that those wings work, because we do see that in the size of the devils as well. When we first see the one that Merleone is fighting, it doesn't have wings at the start. It seems a little bit. It seems still pretty big, but it looks a little hunched back. It doesn't look like it's at its full size. It doesn't have wings, and it's clearly not as powerful as the other ones we've seen. Whereas when we initially got both the licked devil and the new devil over, I did it in reverse, but you know what I mean. The devil that is now attacking the Clover, as well as the one, licked from back at Lemire's point in the story, they had their wings with the 5 circles, again, at the base of them as soon as they came in, and that explains why they're so strong and so big at the start. The only difference is that the licked devil had a tail, so I'm guessing he just was more advanced, just further down the line. Because then you look at like the first one, no wings, and it's like kind of still pretty big, pretty powerful, but it isn't. It just isn't at its maximum potential. The wings obviously end up just making it stronger, giving it more power, and making it more evolved. And there's probably still a threshold that it has to go in. Like maybe it's maybe there's something that kind of in the process of how this devil transformation works, turning into this demon, that Lix was just like way more advanced because of the magic stones. But on top of that, the size of that is really important, because it looks like it got a little bit bigger when it brought out its wings, so we see it growing from just getting the wings. Now, why is that also important? Because like I said, going back to, let me move some of these pictures, go back to Lucifero, and if I could just get this other one out of the way. The one in Lucifero, he has 4 wings on top of 2 wings. Again, why is that important? Because we've seen that when a character, someone like Noct, puts on the Devil Union, it's like a different style of do it, but he gets the 2 horns. He doesn't get the 4 horns. Whereas having the devil power go through you gives you 4 horns when you get to a certain extent, when you get to full power. And that's why Asta, as Asta's going, only like initially has the 1 horn, then he gets the 2nd horn, and then when he went Berserk, he had 3 horns. And we see the Dark Triad, once they get to a certain extent, they get more, additional horns as well. So that means that the process of the devil power, like as you being a conduit, gives you those extra horns in some way or another, as well as, gives you the wings and stuff. But what does this like do for my theory on Lucifero? So the thing, though, on Lucifero is we have to keep into account all the aspects about him, not just what I've kind of gone over in brief points. So let's just talk about him in general. Here's all those damn other demons, or devils, to give a run back about that. But the thing about it, the biggest thing about Lucifero, I think that is a tell on top of that, is the fact that he is so big. Like he is ginormous. Like all the other devils have been pretty humanoid in size, but I mean Lucifero has to be at least like if this picture is accurate, like a couple 100 feet tall, like 200 to 300, like some Godzilla sized just behemoth. And about those things connecting them together, what if Lucifero originally wasn't a devil? He was a human or an elf, given that, we know that work on the elves as well. Potentially it would make more sense to an elf, because it would give him more of a reason to be more powerful, because we know that elves naturally are more powerful than humans regardless of like specific cases. It seems that just like being an elf on average gives you more of an advantage than a human, and we know that from the displays of like the elves and having just advanced magics of like the humans being in their body, and then just across the board, what we know about low-level human, what we can compare to low-level humans in Magic versus low-level elves in Magic. Even the lowest elf still is way more powerful than a bottom-tier human in the Black Clover universe. So, look, like, it would just make a little bit more sense, but also, it would go into the name of the character. Because keep in mind, he's Lucifer. Because I think it's Lucifero is Italian for Lucifer. So the story of Lucifer, of Satan, having this betrayer of heaven, and, offering, having something like the apple to Adam and Eve. He's making deals with people. He's tempting them for his own kind of gains. That would make sense of why he'd go to like Dante and Morris, but also he's changing them in the process. They're making all of them more devil-like by having this power go through them. And so I think that Lucifero originally was a human or an elf, regardless. That's not the important part of the story. But he had the process of the devil union. Like he formed a deal with a different devil, maybe the previous king of the demons, like whoever was in charge down in the otherworld, or whoever just was the strongest, and then got the union, got the devil power. Maybe the previous time that the gate was opened, and all the devils came out. Because what we know of is like if the devils still were all down there, and somebody still like in the previous era. Even at that time, if they formed a similar kind of deal that like the Dark Triad has with their devils, they would only be able to get up to 80 or even, maybe even above that to a degree, whatever the circumstances. But we know they wouldn't be able to achieve max until the gate is open. So say you got to that, but then you also had that character, whoever formed this contract, like do the process to become an artificial demon, similar to what, to what Lick did. And that would explain his size, but also additional wings. Because we know that would mean that he would have the ability to absorb mana in the area from just the wings, and it makes him bigger and stronger in the process. And it would also, again, explain why he's so much bigger than what he is. And we might just not see it from this picture, because maybe those circles are covered up by the fact that, it looks like he wears some form of clothing, or his, the dark energy that comes off the devil bodies. Maybe his just forms that kind of cloak and it shrouds where his, those circles could be. And at the same time, it would make sense for the idea of like if he formed a contract with the devil and betrayed them, if he's based on Lucifer, the devil or the fallen angel betraying God. And it would also make sense why he's trapped at the bottom of the gate, similar to where Lucifer of Satan is trapped at the very bottom, like the furthest ring in the layers of hell. I think it's down at the 10th level, and why only traitors are at the bottom. So like I think it's in Dante's Inferno that it's Cassius, Judas, and I can't remember the other guy, but I would have to look it up. I think it's Cassius, Judas, and somebody else. They're the ones down there with Satan because they're traitors. Like Judas betrayed Jesus, and then Cassius, and I can't remember the other guy's name, betrayed Julius Caesar. So it would all, I think, connect and make a lot of sense to not only what we know in the story of, forms a devil contract, gets what he wants, gets the 100%, betrays the other devil, and it also makes sense of why, if he had two, like imagine if it's similar to how the Dark Triad are, where they have two magics. If he betrayed the original devil but had the two magics, why he can have two contracts with Dante and Morris. Like Dante gets the gravity side of the magic, where whatever Morris has is like a different side. Like say if gravity was originally Lucifero's magic, and whatever Morris has was the devil power that he got from the previous devil that he formed a contract with. But also, again, it would make sense of his size, why he's such a calamity. Because imagine if somebody like, again, Dante had the, those mana-absorbing wings. Like, give Dante the same power that Demon Licht have, and you would have a calamity on level Lucifero. It would make a lot of sense, I think. But also, it would fit into the extra wings, extra horns, why, like, he just would be possibly endgame if he can just absorb mana, because then none of the wizards and mages in the world could fight him, except Asta. So again, it would all make so much sense, and it would even tie together of why Asta is, like, the key role in the story, because if you have Lucifero, again, if you put every other character around Lucifero, regardless of, like, them trying to fight him, they would be hindered by just his passive, like, mana-sucking, like, just absorbing all around the area. But Asta would be fine. And it would make so much sense. Asta and Libby would be fine. So it could all, like, really, I think, tie together in so many parts of the story, but also the source material of both having, different, like, Tabata doing different types of devil mythologies and combining them together, as well as the hints and clues that he's laid out beforehand, because he's always done that. He's always laid something in there purposefully. So we'll see. I'm really interested in just his character in general, because he was really weird. Because we first we figured it was going to be Megicula was the big problem, and then we got like the Dark Triad, and we found out Dante was like the head guy as well as the King of the Spade. And then we got Lucifero as like the guy that Dante is pretty much answering to. So there's a lot of big mysteries in the story. And as well as Morris. Morris might find out something through the Heart Queen Wisdom. We don't even know. But other than that, though, just tell me what your thoughts are about like these theories. Do you think that I make enough connections to what we've at least been seeing and about Lucifero? Because I think the size, the four horns, the wings, it makes so much sense if you really think about it. As well as Asta against him, because Asta literally would counter his super OP villain like devil combination of abilities. So we'll see. It's just like a waiting game. But anyway, other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts are about this theory, and tell me your thoughts about what this could really do to Lucifero and his level of threat in the series. But other than that, I really appreciate if you would thumbs up the video, if you like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, thanks for everyone who's already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.